It's Wednesday, the 7th of July, 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. In today's headlines, the Reserve Bank says it will slowly tighten monetary policy, but rates are still on hold for the foreseeable future. Plus, Sydney's lockdown to be extended a week as the state struggles to contain the current COVID outbreak. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews warns that Crown Resorts could lose its gaming licence, and CEOs' pay rises suffer as a result of COVID, but no need to feel too sorry for them. Our lead story today, the Reserve Bank of Australia didn't say it was bringing forward interest rate hikes yesterday, but it did say enough for many market economists to forecast that rates would rise before 2024. Following the Reserve Bank board meeting, Governor Philip Lowe reiterated the central bank's central scenario that the official cash rate won't rise until 2024. But the RBA dropped the phrase 2024 at the earliest, and in Reserve Bank speak, that's significant. It was enough for many market economists to argue that interest rates would move higher before 2024. Already some of the major bank economists have said there'd be rate hikes as early as the end of next year, and the recent run of strong economic data has done nothing to dissuade them. Dr. Lowe said while the current restrictions meant there was some near-term uncertainty, the economy was likely to bounce back quickly once they ended. The Reserve Bank said it would continue to target a 0.1% yield for the April 2024 bond, and it will be purchasing bonds at a reduced rate. In other words, the bank has started, slowly, unwinding some of the monetary stimulus in the system. For home borrowers, fixed-term rates for 3 years and beyond are likely to rise. In overseas news, Europe, particularly France and Germany, is edging towards more normal relations with China, with commitments to resurrect an investment treaty. France's President Emmanuel Macron, Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel, and China's President Xi Jinping held a three-way video call yesterday after Mr. Xi called for stronger cooperation between Europe and Beijing in trade and culture, climate change, and defeating the coronavirus. US President Joe Biden will urge Americans to get vaccinated as the Delta variant of COVID-19 sweeps across the country, mostly hitting people who haven't received a jab. The US is now recording around 13,000 new cases each day, up from 11,000 2 weeks ago. And the United Kingdom is relaxing restrictions, even though experts have said new cases could surge to 100,000 per day. People who have been vaccinated will pretty much be exempt from any restrictions, including self-isolating if they're a close contact of someone with COVID. Capacity crowds were allowed back at Wimbledon overnight, just in time to see Australian Ash Barty reach the semi-finals. Locally, media outlets this morning are reporting that Sydney's lockdown will be extended by a week, meaning school students will learn from home for the first week of term. New South Wales Premier Gladys Berejiklian is due to officially announce the extension this morning. When the city comes out of lockdown, it's likely to be a phased approach. There were 18 locally acquired COVID cases in New South Wales yesterday. While the number of jabs of COVID vaccine administered has now reached 8.4 million, the vaccination rate remains much too low. That's why lockdowns continue. The Australian newspaper is reporting this morning that the bosses of the four major banks, Wesfarmers, Woolworths, Qantas, Virgin Australia, Telstra and Optus, will meet with Treasurer Josh Frydenberg about helping with the rollout of vaccines. Victorian Premier Daniel Andrews yesterday said the prospect of Crown Melbourne losing its licence was very, very real. The gaming group is appearing before a state royal commission, and the stories have been pretty dreadful. The comments by Mr. Andrews ups the pressure on the board of Crown to take drastic steps or work with competitor, the Star, on a proposed merger of the two groups. Meanwhile, Crown's new chief executive, Steve McCann, who until recently ran Lend-Lease, was appearing before the Victorian Royal Commission yesterday. He said he'd written to the Victorian state government and admitted that the gaming giant had underpaid state taxes. The Beijing-Canberra relationship continues to deteriorate. China has accused Australia of impeding the authorisation of Chinese vaccines in Papua New Guinea. A state-owned newspaper claimed Australian consultants were undermining Beijing's efforts to help PNG tackle COVID-19. A foreign ministry spokesperson said Australia was engaging in political manipulation and bullying coercion and was being callous to the life and health of the people of PNG. The federal government has denied the allegations. Pay for senior execs took a hit during 2020, just like the rest of us. A report from Aon and the Governance Institute of Australia shows 1/4 of the nation's most senior execs received a pay rise last year. More than half got an increase in 2019. The average size of increase was 1.4%, well down from the previous year. The median remuneration for CEOs of the top 50 listed companies was $5.4 million. Okay, maybe it's not really just like the rest of us. And it's been a tough week for sports mad Melbourne. A lack of AFL crowds, Crown Casino under fire, and yesterday the Australian Grand Prix was cancelled for the second time. At least they're not in lockdown. That's the Fear and Greed business headlines for today. Make sure you hit follow so you get it every morning. And if you'd like more detail and more stories, search for our longer daily podcast called Fear and Greed. We also release a daily interview. Today we're talking to AMP Capital Chief Economist Dr. Shane Oliver about interest rates, house prices and COVID lockdowns. I'll be back later with the afternoon market report. I'm Sean Aylmer. Have a great day.